Hello, everybody. My name is 12 Volt Tony, and I am a master installer, and I'd like to welcome everyone to today's video. It's called How to Install a Car Alarm on Your Vehicle. And I've been doing car alarms now for about 30 years, and I've watched these car alarms come a long way. And with that being said, and no further ado, let's get into the 2020 Chevy Camaro. Okay, so the first thing I do is I type in the year, make, and model of the vehicle, and it's the first thing that comes to my mind is by it being a 2020, you're going to want to go digital versus analog. Analog means that you just connect all the wires to the existing wires and you can make the alarm work. Well, this was standard for vehicles in the 90s, late 90s, a few in the early 2000s. I want to say after the year 2006, you really want to go digital. So looking at this sheet right here, I've got the Chevy, I've got the Camaro, and that little microchip that's on the screen, that's letting us know that there's going to be computer programming involved. Also, on the 2022 Camaro, it makes a difference whether that alarm is a push to start automatic or whether it has a key. And most of the newer late model vehicles, they have buttons where you push the button to start it. Also, if you look to the right, it lets me know how many keys are required to program the vehicle. I spent a long time installing tracking devices on vehicles for car lots. And what that means is that when you go and you buy a car, you're supposed to get 2 keys. But if you're still paying for the vehicle or you're financing the vehicle, they'll keep one of the keys and they'll give you 1 key. In case they got to come get the car back, they need a key. So until you pay off that vehicle, then you won't get the second key. Well, this page lets me know that we can install your alarm with 1 key. It only takes 1 key. There's only 1 key required for the programming. Now, you get into certain vehicles like Land Rovers and a lot of the higher end vehicles, sometimes you need 2 keys. So if I look at the page and it says you need 1 key, then it's okay. It's all right by me, because again, some of these keys could cost up to $400 for a duplicate key. And I don't want you to have to go through that. I don't want to see anybody have to go to the dealership because that's $400 added to the price of the alarm. And also sometimes that if you have 2 keys, what we would have to do is we would have to put that key in a box. And then we would have to hide that box underneath the dashboard so that the vehicle would know that there was a key in proximity of the vehicle. Well, the thing about it, technologies came a long way, and that's also why have an alarm if your car is going to always start? So we want to have it to where, excuse me, we want to have it to where, that key's not in there, or if it is in there, it has to be activated in order for the vehicle to start. But anyway, that's something else different. I went down a whole different rabbit hole. We don't need to know that for this car because we only have to have 1 key to start. So when I go into my Magic Wizard, it's going to let me know my options for what alarm brain I'm going to be able to use, because not just anything can go into your vehicle. Not every alarm is compatible with the vehicle. This piece right here is made by CompuStar First Tech. It's one of my favorite pieces. It's called the DC3, and it's a start it. What it is, because I don't want to say, well, it's an alarm, and it's also a bypass module. Now, when I say it's an alarm, I program it so that it will act as an alarm, but you have to add the additional pieces. You have to add the siren. You have to add the shock sensor. You have to add the GPS drone module to it. But this is going to be one of the key pieces to your alarm, and this is the DC3. Now, there's several other brains out there, but this is considered to be the remote start alarm brain. Next up the bat. Oh, I don't know if I said it, but I do want to double down and say that this piece, the DC3, I hook it up to my laptop computer, and you have to have access from the dealers. You have to be dealer direct to even program this module. So if you're not authorized to program it, you can't get access. So you do have to be an authorized dealer to flash this module. Next up to bat. Next up to bat, we have this little piece right here. What is that? It's a bundle of wires. Yeah, bundle of wires. Well, what that bundle of wires represents in my world, it's called a T-harness. And it allows us to basically plug and play to your existing wires. So this may go into your BCM or your PCM. We on different vehicles, it goes into different spots. It may go into your push to start button or your ignition cylinder, but they've got everything mapped out. With the newer vehicles, they're all data. So you don't want to, well, you sometimes you do have to solder or connect into existing wires. But if you use a T-harness, it eliminates you having to do it so much. These are amazing pieces. I recommend that if you can get a T-harness for any of your projects, use a T-harness. The T-harnesses eliminate voiding warranties, and it eliminates a car is a computer. So back in the day, everything was either 12 volt or ground. You send 12 volts to this, it's going to work. You send a ground to that, it's going to work. Well, when you're dealing with computers, you're dealing with data. You're dealing with numbers. You're dealing with ones and zeros. So with that being said, the reason I'm pointing at the T-harness is because there's certain shops that will say, well, my customers don't want to use a T-harness. This piece could be anywhere from $50 to an additional $150, depending upon what it's plugging into, what vehicle it's going into. So the thing about it is that it's a well spent investment using a T-harness. And then let's just say you did want to remove the alarm from the vehicle, you're trading it in and you want to keep your alarm. Well, the T-harness allows you to unplug the alarm and then use it on another vehicle and restore the vehicle back to factory settings. So all you do is just plug the original plugs back in and boom, the car is back to normal. T-harnesses, man, they are the way to go, especially if you like your vehicle. Next up, we have this piece right here is one of my favorites. It's called the Alarm-It. So what we've done is that we've taken the brain of the alarm, we've programmed it to the vehicle. So now we told the DC3, hey man, you're going to be an alarm. Yeah. So if you look and see, this kit adds the siren, it adds the shock sensor, and it also adds your light indicator. Well, you might say, well, if you're putting in an alarm, why would you have to use an accessory like the alarm it? Why didn't it just come with it? Well, the reason being is because some people don't want the alarm. They just want the remote start. So you're saving them a little bit of money because they may just want the remote start feature. Um, yeah, so again, you're taking a brain and you're programming that brain to match the computer in your car, and you're telling that brain, the DC3, what it is you want it to do. So yeah, man, cool way to go. That way you can customize your alarm to fit your needs. Next up is this bad boy right here, one of my all-time favorites. What this is right here, this is a T12 transmitter. Now, with the newer alarms, you can pick out different transmitters. You may just want a transmitter with, if you're just getting remote start, then it may just have one button on it. And that one button will start, and then it'll start the engine, turn the engine off. You can also add the DC3 which to your factory key fob. So you don't even have to have an aftermarket key fob, which saves you a little bit of money. But one of the good things about the T12 is that it allows you to access the drone. So not only does this key fob tell you if your engine's running, it tells you if your doors are open, it lets you know if your trunk is open. It works through satellite. So if, don't quote me on this. I don't know if sometimes when I go to concerts, my cell phone doesn't work. So I don't know if the satellites are being blocked that way. But other than those situations, you should be able to be anywhere in the world. And if you have the drone, you should be able to remote start your vehicle as long as you have cell phone service. And then also the module in the back with the red, green, and yellow lights on it, what that is, that's your GPS navigation. So if someone was to steal your vehicle, you can go onto an app on your phone and you can track your vehicle. It has GPS tracking on it, and you can also add up to 3 cell phones. So if you've installed this in your teenager's car, and your teenager is lost and they're calling, hey, I don't know where I'm at, you can go onto your cell phone and you can find out where your teenager's at. You can tell them, hey man, okay, you're over here in Mineral Wells, and this is how you get home. But I love the T12. It's an amazing piece. It also comes with a blue flashing light indicator. Usually I'll get a little bit fancy and I'll add both of them, usually one to the A pillar and then maybe one on the dash. And yeah, it's an amazing piece. And I'm not going to make this video too long, and I don't want to, scare anybody off with what I'm about to do. But next up is the actual install guide. So this is all me over here. So with this install guide, when you ask me, hey, Tony, what do you charge me to put an alarm in my car? I have no idea until I look at this install guide. Now, don't get me wrong. I've done, hundreds of the Camaros. So I already know what needs to be done. I already know what takes place. But I'm just saying, if it's a vehicle that I hadn't done in a long time, or it's a new vehicle that just came out, I really have to look at my instructions before I can even tell you what's going on. This is the install manual, and it goes over a lot of features that I'm not going to really cover with you because, again, this is all me. Okay, this sheet right here, it tells me everything that the DC3 does, my ins and my outs, what color the wires are. And if you look, I mean, there's so many different options. They try to give you, again, the DC3, the brain can go in any vehicle. So some of these wires you'll use, some of them you won't. Um, it's catered so that if I do put it in a Camaro, it'll give me everything that I need. Okay, let me go back. I accidentally skipped a slide. What I like about this screen right here is that in the installation manual, I don't know if you can see that letter A to the left of the steering column. Well, that lets me know exactly where I'll be working at in the vehicle. And sometimes you'll open up a car and it'll go, you'll see an A, a B, C, D. You'll see letters all over that vehicle, and that's letting me know that I'm looking for connections or wires with throughout the entire, locations in the vehicle. Right here, this is what's so important to me right here. This page, if you see the dark, the black lines, that's a T-harness. So that lets me know what I've got to plug. It lets me know where I've got to plug it in at. BCM, left the steering column, lets you know where the BCM is. So basically here, I'm dealing with the BCM and I'm coming out of the alarm. The alarm is to the left. The connections are to the right. So to me, man, this install is a cakewalk. It's a breeze. I'm going to show you what this install would look like if I didn't have the T-harness. Okay, it's showing me again. There's my letter A, letting me know where I'll be at while I'll be making my connections. So look at all these wires now. You've got the orange wire, you've got two gray ones, you've got a green one, you've got a yellow one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Without that T-harness, I'd literally have to put my bifocals on and I'd have to go to each one of these plugs and I'd have to count those wires. Well, the wires that are going into the plugs. And if you look at the first one to your right, where it says number 1 and it says gray, that has 26 wires going into it. So that lets me know I've got to dig through all those wires and I've got to look for the wire number 23. The next one, that's a whole different plug. It lets me know I'm looking for wire 2. And then I've got to do some cutting, and it is a data wire. So you're cutting, you're soldering. Man, I tell you, just looking at this, you've got your brake wire. Just looking at this, I mean, if you were to do an install on this, would you want to install this or would you want to install this right here? Slide number 6, you just plug it in, you're playing, baby. You're in and out. And, as an installer, people are saying, well, I don't want to, well, I'm not going to say people, but a lot of shops you go to, they say, well, we don't need a T-harness. Well, not only have we programmed the DC3 to fit the vehicle, now you're digging through all these wires to make your connections, and then you still have to program the DC3 to the car through physical steps. So not only are we doing all the research to find the proper components, and then you're not wanting to dig through, you're wanting to go, you're not, well, digging through is basically analog. You don't want to go analog, you want to go digital. You want to let the alarm do the actual DC3. You want to let it sort out all the data, and then here I just want to walk you through a few of the programming steps, which is why you want to make this as easy as possible. And it is safe for the vehicle. You want it easy, you want it safe. You don't want any check engine lights coming on. You don't want any indicator lights coming on. You want that car to leave the exact same way it was when it came in. So now that you've got all your connections made, you've got everything in the vehicle, what you've got to do when programming, only one key fob will be used. Place the other one at least 10 feet away. So a lot of times people will have the vehicle and they'll have both of their key fobs on the keychain. Well, what we have to do, we don't want to confuse the alarm. So we want to separate those two key fobs, but majority of the people will only have one. But I have saw people coming in with both of their key fobs because they just flat out paid cash for their card. Take a sip of coffee here real quick before we go into programming. Amazing. Okay, so what you got to do, you got to dig into that key fob and you got to remove the battery. Then what happens is that you close the driver's door, then you open the driver's door. And what you got to do, push start button twice or push start button for 5 seconds. Sometimes you can push that button twice, can't get access, because what it is that when you turn a key, you want to be in the accessory position, and you don't want to start the car. You just want to be in the accessory position so that the data from the computer in the car goes into the DC3. Because what you're basically doing is you're downloading the data from the vehicle's computer into your DC3. They're talking to each other. So sometimes I've had to hold, and we're on number 4, the picture number 4. Sometimes you can hit that button twice, and you don't want the vehicle to start. If vehicle starts up, you got to start back from scratch. Or you can hold that button for 5 seconds. And if you hold it for 5 seconds, it will send you into an accessory position. So that's part of the program. And so once you're in accessory position, what you want to do is there's an LED. There's an LED light on the DC3. You want to wait until that light turns red. Okay. And then once it turns red, you want to push the start button in the vehicle, and that's going to turn it off. Once it turns off, once that light turns off, once the button is off, the red light, there's a green light beside it. So that green light will start flashing. It'll just start blinking. Let's see, which moves us to number 8. Disconnect last power wire. Yeah. So what you're going to do, once it starts flashing green, you're going to disconnect your alarm, because we got to take it back to the computer, and all of the data that's been downloaded from the vehicle, we need to take it back to the computer and let the DC3, which is the module, we need to let it talk to the computer some more. They need to compare facts. They got to make sure, hey, this is a 2020. Yeah, you got the data. Are you sure? Okay. So now, which brings us to slide number 9. We connect the DC3 back to our laptop computer, which you have to be an authorized dealer to program this alarm. So, if you're not authorized, you're not going to be able to do any of this. It says connect the module to the computer and proceed with the extended program. So yeah, you set it up and then you have to do your extended programming. Okay, next, if you're not paying attention and someone's like, hey, buddy, what are you doing over there? Hey, back in the day, I used to do it like this. No, cut all that off. Cut that short, because what you got to do, you got to connect your power wire first. Once you've let it talk to the computer to reconfirm the data, you walk back over to the vehicle, you connect your power wire first. Then you push the start button twice, or if it worked for you when you held that button down for 5 seconds, that's where you are. You're going to wait until the LED turns green for 2 seconds. Now, again, when you're doing this programming, you can miss that green light. Someone will be talking to you and you're like, hey, Tony, hey, man, what are you doing when you get off work? Next thing you know, that light turned green and you missed it. You didn't even see it turn green because you're doing something else. Well, unfortunately for you, you're going to be waiting there for 30 minutes. And you never know when it's going to flash green for 2 seconds. Sometimes it'll do it within 3 to 5 seconds, or sometimes it takes 20 seconds. So then again, push the start button once to the off position. Now you're turning it off. What you do, you take that battery, you put it back into the key fob. And then let's see here. You got to make sure you put that battery back in the exact same way that you took it out. Sometimes people will put it in backwards, or they'll flip that battery upside down, and the key fob doesn't work. Within any of these steps, if you feel as though you have to take out your camera on your phone and take a picture, please do, because all that's going to do is make things better for you. Number 15, if the vehicle is equipped with a power lift gate, open or close the lift gate with the OEM key fob, because that programs the lift gate, which is your trunk to the vehicle, if it's powered. Now, this is my favorite part, because it brings us to the goalpost, and we're almost done with our video. You press the start button, start the vehicle for 15 seconds. And while you got that vehicle started, it's still exchanging data. So that's why you let it go for 15 seconds. And then after 15 seconds, you press and you hold the brake pedal. And while you're holding the brake pedal, you reach over and you press and release the module's programming button, because what that's saying is that you're holding the brake pedal, you're locking in that information, and that's what that green button does. So now, after it's all locked in, you release the brake pedal. Now, do not release that brake pedal until you hit that button. After you've hit, now if you release the brake pedal before you hit that button, you're going to lose your data. So you may have to do some more reprogramming. But again, like I say, you're holding that brake pedal, you push that button, you locked in your data. Then when you release that brake pedal, the LED is gonna flash green just one time. Again, while you're programming, make sure nobody's getting on your nerves. I mean, people see you doing something and they want to interact, but what you got to do, you got to have your bifocals on so you can see those lights when they flash. Now, module is programmed. That completes your programming. And I'm almost done with this video. We've got a few seconds left. What I want to cover is that some vehicles, you're sitting in the house, you got the vehicle locked, you hit the start button on your T12, vehicle's running, you can tell the engine's running because it'll show a engine on your T12. It's got a little engine and it'll show that engine turning. The engine's turning, you're getting ready for work, you're getting all your stuff and everything. You walk up to the vehicle, you hit the unlock button, and then you open the door. That's called manual takeover. What that means is that some vehicles, when you open that door, the vehicle dies. Other vehicles, when you hit the unlock button and you open the door, it'll continue running. And what you do, we just never know until we look at the instructions or we see if it has manual takeover. You close the door, you press the brake and release, and then with the Camaro, you don't have to do anything to the button. But there are vehicles out there that doesn't have the manual takeover. So at nighttime or when you pull into your garage, you leave your heated seats on. You leave your heated seats on, you leave your heater or your air conditioner on. And when you go to unlock the car, open the door, you get in, everything that you left on in the vehicle will still be in the same position you left it. If the radio's on, it's going to continue to play. I mean, only when the vehicle is started. Now, if it doesn't have vehicle takeover, then what you've got to do, you're going to unlock it, you're going to open the door, and when you hit the brake, the vehicle will die. So those are some really important factors. And again, this video is just so that people will have a better understanding of what's going on, how to install a car alarm before they walk into a car stereo shop. Because again, this was a 30-minute video, and I get asked these questions many times by people day to day. And so sometimes I'm so busy to where I don't really have a lot of time to explain it. And that's why I make these videos, so that I can just tell someone, hey, go to my YouTube channel and it covers a lot of the things that are in the video. I'm not the video, but it covers a lot of the things, the questions that you're asking me about your alarm. And again, this video is how to install a car alarm in 2025, because this is where technology is taking us. And I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you have any other questions, put them in the comments, and I definitely check the comments, and I will answer your questions. And today's video was brought to you by 10